Apparently, if you've already got an Immersion RC Rapid Fire, this is the ultimate combo. G'day, Stu from UAV Futures here, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we get together, we look at some new, different, or just exciting tech in the FPV drone racing world, and today is absolutely no exception, because finally, it's here in the studio. We have the Immersion RC Power Play, and for lack of a better term, I don't know how to describe this thing, because it does a fair bit, but just think, really fancy battery case. Now, this little unit right here, it can take a whole, we're going to put it on the bench, break it down, look at the text and the specs, and take it out to the field, and find out, is this really worth it? Because it's pretty pricey. I think it's coming in at close to 90 bucks, and essentially it's a little display unit. You can record some DVR on there, and some really high quality DVR, I should say. Power your goggles, watch some stuff, share your footage in the field as well. So all that sort of stuff. So let's do it, dive right in. We're gonna look at the overview, all the sort of features. So here it is, what you actually get in the box. It's designed to clip on the back of your Fat Sharks, and essentially, let me see if I can get this in shot, bear with me. You clip it on, and you can imagine this little unit right here is at the back of your head, or wherever you decide to put it, at the side or something like that, and your footage that you're flying around in, this is going to be recording the DVR on it, but other people can see actually what you're seeing in the goggles. So it sends the goggle feed straight into the little unit back here. It's going to be recording your DVR and just showing off some of your flights. Now, I think that is pretty cool, because a lot of times I've been in the field, or I've wanted to watch some other people flying, and you might have to tune into their channel. I don't have to do that anymore. I might be having my McDonald's lunch or something, Wingman Jono's out there flying, and I might be chowing down on the burger, watching his fly, and now I can actually do it without having my goggles on my face, watching him fly, although I would have to stand a bit awkwardly too close behind him. But yeah, you can watch someone while they're flying around as well. So it's a cool little spectator thing. Now what we should do, let's turn it off. I should say it does come with two 18500 batteries. They're 1400 milliamp hours. So it is nice that it's included with some batteries. You get two power cables. You get one that's meant to sit in your pocket if you want to put it in your pocket, and one that also goes around the back of your head. Now this leads me to my first kind of, look, I'm not going to complain that this is in here, but I don't know, if I had this amazing unit, I'm probably not going to be keeping that in my pocket, so it kind of defeats the purpose. If this is just hidden in your pocket, then all you're going to be getting out of it is DVR, and there's some cheaper DVR solutions out there. So I don't know if you're a pocket flyer, well, I'm not too sure, but if you're like most people out there who actually sticks the battery on the side of their head, and well, they plug their Fat Sharks in, this is kind of a bit of a no-brainer if you can afford that. Those are two cords. You get this little case that it clips onto. You slide your little Fat Shark things through here, and of course you hook it up just like this before we turn it on. You plug into your AV out. This is a pair of HDOs I've got here, just with a bit of a different color on there. We have, oh, it's on this side, sorry, excuse me. We have our AV out, which is over this side. We have our power button, and you can plug your fan button in, and then this end goes into the little power unit. We'll get this in shot just here, and you've got your little AV in. So this should boot up now. Might be on low battery because I've been using it quite a bit, and you can see that's going to boot up right there, and this is exactly what my Fat Sharks are actually seeing. So if I'm cycling through the menus or something like that, SD card not inserted, it's not telling me that. There we go. So this is all the sort of stuff that's on my little RX unit right here. Now let's go through some of the features, what we can go in here. Now, wait till this exits out. Let's press this in. Oh, you can start recording, hold this button and get out of here, DVR card. Oh, and look at that, we're on low battery, and that is something that you're gonna find happens a lot with this. But if we go through the menu and some of its features, it's really simple. You just have, if you press that top button, you've got a little rocker switch over to the side, which, look, I'm not really the biggest fan of. I would have preferred some other things. You can play back some files you've got on here. You can start your record and set how you want it to recording. Do you want to auto record, loop record, manual, all that sort of stuff, and then you can also format your SD card. And then if we have a look at general, it is just, you can put your clock on, turn the beeps on and off, reset it, and also check your firmware versions. So overall, it's a relatively simple little thing. Now, some of its features, if I take it out right here, it is, get this to the side, it's the big one for a lot of people. It's going to record at 60 frames per second. Now, most of the DVR you see in here is going to be at 30 frames per second. The video you're watching now is at 60 frames per second on YouTube, and that's going to be really important when we're comparing this DVR versus the DVR you've got in here. So that's probably going to be one huge plus for for a lot of people. If you're flying micros or something that doesn't have an action camera in there, you want to get the best DVR recording that you can. This is kind of a must, because most of the time the DVR, when you watch it back on the Fat Sharks and some of the other ones, it can look a bit cruddy. And I know how many times have you watched and thought, man, that looks so much better in the goggles than I'm watching this back. I didn't remember it looking that choppy. Well, this thing is going to kind of solve a lot of those issues. Now, I should say it charges by USB right there, USB-C, I should say, on the back. Pop it open, you notice I've got some different batteries in here. These are like 2220s or something like that, some 18500s. And the reason I've got them is because this brings us on to some of the criticisms I've got about it. It absolutely chews the juice. So it says in the instructions or on the description, you could get 3 hours, and it was kind of worded really, really trickily, but yeah, you could get 3 hours possibly using some of these batteries. And then it says, but you can also upgrade to these batteries and get up to 3 hours. So I'm not too sure. I find using my larger 2200s, I'm probably getting about 2 hours of battery life, and these ones maybe in 90 minutes. So there's a bit of a discrepancy between what's on the instructions and kind of what I'm getting anyway. But look, that could just be a bit of a typo. And I should also say too, it's really simple when it comes to plugging. Like, you can't get it around the wrong way. You've got your power, you've got your AV in, and then you've just got your little SD card you can slot in here. And it can record up to 128 gig card. So you got DVR for days. But look, that's it on the bench. Let's take the Immersion RC PowerPlay out to the field, fly around. I'll show you what it looks like, I guess, pointing a camera at it. And then I'm gonna do a voiceover where you can really see the difference. I'm gonna show you between the DVR that this records. It's gonna be the exact same flight recorded on both the HDOs and also on this. And you see the difference, because it really is a bit night and day. So let's do that. Go have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Radio out here in the field. Let's do it with some Immersion RC PowerPlay testing. What we're gonna do, they're hooked up to my HDOs. We'll go for a buzz around. I'll show you guys some footage, and then we're gonna do a bit of a voiceover, because I wanna compare the DVR that you get out of this bad boy at the 60 frames per second to the DVR that we're getting from the HDOs. Fly around, we're using the Sector 5, show some footage and just find out, is this worth it? How's the footage actually turn out? Is it something you'd use in the field? All that sort of stuff. So let's do it, have some fun, rip it around in 3, 2, 1, power play. Radio, this is the best way I could sync them up and put them side by side for you guys. This is the same flight. I'm not going to tell you which is which exactly, because this should hopefully be apparent. You know, which one side we've got the power play, on the other side we've got the HDOs. But I also want to point out, look, they are going to get out of sync as time goes on, because one's at 30 frames per second, one's at like 59 point something or whatever, close to 60. And yeah, that's just welcome to video editing, and it can be tricky to keep everything in sequence. But what one do you think is what? I'll put a little poll up, or leave me a comment, because for me, one of these looks so much smoother, and one looks much more jittery, like it's skipping around, all that sort of stuff. And let's have a look in 3, 2, 1. Did you guess correctly? The power play is on the right, and we've got the standard HDO DVR on the left. So I think for anybody, if you're doing micros, if you're doing like competitive racing and you want to be recording this sort of stuff, and you like to show that off as well, something like a DVR recorder like this is going to be a great option, where you can get the best possible DVR footage that you can. And then there's some other cases where you might be doing some long range, or you know, some crazy missions where it's vital for you to be able to have that DVR. Or you might be flying, I guess when I was flying with Tony the other day and we almost lost our wing, which is a bit crazy. You can share that. You can both be kind of watching the same flight at the same time, and you can have a discussion, you know, oh, it looks like you're breaking up a bit around there, and kind of use that and share that data with people rather than them have to get their goggles and tune in. This is just going to be a great little extra. And then of course the final one that I really like with this is, if you're flying around and someone comes up and says, hey, what are you doing? You can say, oh, check it out, I've got a live feed on the back of my head. And you know, you all know what it's like when people see these drones. They think they're absolutely amazing, and then when you can take them for a flight, it blows their socks off. But a lot of times people out there don't have spectator goggles, and this is just another cool little way to share our hobby. So look, overall, I think it is doing a lot of things right. I'm going to put in some footage as well of a flight where it's out in the field in terms of like the camera staring at it, but I want to make it really clear here. While we're looking at it, it looks a lot brighter in the day. I know I couldn't adjust it or anything like that in terms of the brightness that's coming out, and I had to overexpose the camera so it could pick up what's happening. But when I was looking at it, it looked brighter than what's shown on the camera here when I'm recording it anyway. But anyway, that's it in the field. A cool little product, I've got to say. Not going to be for everybody, a little bit pricey, but I'm sure a lot of people are kind of going to be excited about something like this. Some people aren't going to think 90 bucks is too expensive for a battery pack. If they can see all these possibilities and really see themselves using it, having fun, and just sort of sharing the hobby. Rightio, so there it is. There's my Tech Tuesday quick look at the Immersion RC Power Play. And overall, I really like this product. I think there's some things that I would like to improve, and maybe there'll be a revision B and all that sort of stuff, but we'll talk about those in a minute. Things I like about this. It is definitely aimed at those pilots who want just really cool kit. I mean, there's no reason why, if you've got a screen on here that's going to be recording at 60 frames per second and also showing people what you do as well as powering your Fat Sharks, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, it's just awesome. If my normal batteries did what this did, I'd be like, yeah, hook it up, let's go. I see no reason to jumping back. But there's some things that I don't like, and then there's also some things that I do wish we could improve on. And probably the first one is, I don't really know how I feel about the price. It is very, very pricey for essentially just a battery pack DVR kind of combo with a screen. Like, maybe if you've already got HDOs, maybe you've already got a rapid fire, that's already costing a ton of money, and you want to get a really fancy dangled battery pack to put on, well, this might be right up your alley. But also on the budget end of things, you can get an entire box set of goggles if you're out there flying around with like the EV800s or some other, the Nun goggles, the Vipers, whatever they are. That is going to cost the same amount as this. So I don't know, if you're budget orientated, this is absolutely not going to be worthwhile for you to get. But if you've got the really good gear and you like the functionality that this offers, some people might be able to justify that a lot easier. So the first one I don't like is the price. The second one is it really does chew down the batteries. I wish for the price they should have given you some larger capacity batteries. The 1400 mAh batteries that you get in this, just not really adequate because it sucks down the juice absolutely. And then the third one that is kind of a bit of a pain, you're going to have to carry a few of these out if you've got a big flying session, a few different 18500s. And then the third part, or I guess this is more of an improvement, there's a couple of things I'd like to do this. So the first one, I know it's kind of chunky, but maybe you could squeeze in like an 18650 pack in there because they're much more common. Fat Shark users already use 18650s in a lot of their packs. Going to 18500s kind of sucks. I don't really like these batteries. I've only got them because I flew around with the X-Lite for a while and they're more expensive. I guess they're not as readily available and they're just not my favorite type of batteries. And 18650 I think is a much better choice. I don't like the rocker switch. I would have preferred that to be a couple of different button presses and maybe labeled up here, because unless you know kind of what you're doing, it's just, it's not as intuitive. You can't just pick this up straight away. So a couple of little menus would be on here. So when you're watching it out in the field, it looked a lot brighter, and you would have seen that in the exposure footage that I had. It looked a lot brighter. It was hard to pick it up on the camera, but I guess an option to boost the brightness or the dimness and that sort of part, that would be pretty handy. Maybe that's in there, but I haven't discovered that just yet. And then the final little thing, which I think would push this over the edge for a lot of people, I think, man, that is awesome, almost a no-brainer. I can justify that price. Imagine if this had just a tiny little built-in receiver in here, maybe somewhere. So you actually could hook this up, put a little antenna on here, and then you're off. Bob's your uncle. You can actually use this as almost a dedicated ground station if you wanted to kind of look at some long-range missions or something like that while recording it. So I love the DVR, all that sort of stuff. But if you could add in a little receiver unit, it would go from like all these really cool features to like, I can't think of anything else that would make this better. So overall, there it is. What did you guys think about the Immersion RC Power Play? This quick Tech Tuesday look at it. And I think some people are going to like it, absolutely love it. Some people are going to be on the fence. Some people, it's just well out of their price range. But definitely you can't argue that it is feature packed. I like what it does. It is a cool product, and definitely the sort of stuff we want to see on Tech Tuesday. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and also let me know what you thought about the DVR, because it did make a huge difference in the 60 FPS versus the 30 FPS. It was a lot smoother. So maybe the racing crowd and people who already have high-end gear, this might be better suited for you. Anyway, enough rambling for me. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.